Yeah, okay. So the topic is like garbage collection, array math operation. Okay. So this is the second topic we will be covering. So this is also one of the most important questions asked in the while in the interviews for 1 to 5 years of experienced people, or sometimes in the garbage collection questions can be asked in the freshers level also. So for regarding garbage collection. So what exactly it is and how it works? This is an automatic procedure to collect empty or null values. Okay, like JVM collects the unused or unreferenced object, unused or unreferenced object automatically from heap memory. So what happens that if there is a scenario, okay, so there is scenario that in this approach we used to create an object, okay, and if we make this set this one as null, so unreferencing for by mistake, if something is set as null and it is not consumed, if any object is not consumed in our dot class file or in the program which we are trying to, so that it's by default value it will be as null. And while the garbage collection, when it is run automatically by JVM, then it will be collected. So what we can do, there are three ways to, if I want to unreference, to do unreferencing are and what are the nulling an object. If you want to make an object as null, so we can set it value as null, e1 equal to null. Like we created an object, this one employee e1 equal to new employee, and if I want to create make it as null, e1 equal to null. So this was the one way. Second approach is assigning a reference to another. Assigning a reference to another. What we did is that uh, we made that e1 equal to e2. First object we made, this one is e1 and this one is e2. Okay. So what I did, e1 equal to e2, and I consumed only one of the one equal to e2. So the in the within e1 e2 object all the values are assigned. Okay. So then and I make it as null again, I made e2 as null. So this again makes it as dereferencing and making the object as null. So again it goes to unreferencing. Like, and the third approach is sometimes we write somewhere as new employee and we do not consume it that particular values. The new employee, we are not actually properly consuming that. So that case we can again do dereferencing, means unreferencing. This is and by anonymous objects. Okay, like for example, for anonymous object we can tell is as if I did like this, um, like mm, return new new again any for example, if it is an exception, user defined exception, user defined exception, return new user defined exception. For example, something as such, it is R. Okay, defined exception. And since this user defined exception, uh, I used it to create to cover the sonar codes, sonar cube consumption, to reduce the vulnerability. But since this particular class doesn't have any specific, since this particular class doesn't has any specific value, so this particular constructor will have nothing as defined inside this brackets, and so it can't be used. So therefore, uh, if I need to consume if I need to consume all this, so this is also one way. So I'll summarize all these scenarios. For dereferencing or unreferencing is nulling an object, assigning a reference to another. By anonymous object, we can do the exception call. So all these three. Okay. Now if I move it to second topic for such as the similar data types and math operations. So there can be a question related to like uh, for example similar by cloning, yeah. So what are the approach that we can make something as mm, some s- a copy of a array without making without inputting each value inside the another. So there are more than one approaches. One of them is cloning the method. Cloning the method means create a copy of that. Okay, so what is an array? Array, this is second topic we are discussing. Array, some store similar types of elements inside the similar types of elements like integer, 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 integer. If the size is 5, so integer, float, double, character. Anything can be consumed, primitive and non-primitive both. But the disadvantage of the cons is that the size is fixed and the difficulty to manipulation some changes, like if I want to append some value in the explicitly in the ingoing array, and it is difficult. Again, if I want to extend it, resizing, again any of the other processes, it becomes a little bit difficult. So this is the cons for using array in comparison to list and other aspects. So if we go for the questionable part, that the clone method um, is implemented by using interface called as clonable, and which can throw an exception which is called as clone not support exception. Clone that not support exception, this is a particular exception which can be thrown as for the scenarios. So for so this is a generalized theory part, but if I tell about the uh, practicality of this scenario, we can go with the methods used consumed in the array that are, so if the some of the methods which are very important which can relate to the CRUD operation are, or creating a shortcuts for the copies are. So for the CRUD operation, so if I'll tell you what is a CRUD operation as such, CRUD. So CRUD operations are like create an array. So create, this is a part, this is a way to create as such. Okay, this one line number 10, this. Okay, so this approach, this is a way to create something. Again, if I want to in this fix the size, okay, and if I want to put the value, user defined value which are already we know, no sorry, the already the known value if you want to consume at a new object, we can use it this way. Or we can do one more thing, that just we can put it in this way, like uh, mm, like this one as okay, so we can do it 23, 25, close it, yeah. So from this approach, line number 10, 10, again 17, 18, 19, all these approaches are used to creating part of an array, okay, either explicitly or implicitly based on the user or without the user. If I want to read a particular operation, so in order to read, what we'll do, we can do one more thing, that is to create this operation and search in sort, again copy and clone. These are the things we can cover it here. So first we are doing create a CRUD. So create we have done. So what we are doing, if I want to add a read any particular specific values on the array, what we'll do, we can use this line from line 23 to 25. In the iteration between the or the traversing between the first initial position to the length of that, it goes on reading each and every values from that particular array. from that particular array with this approach, and it reads each and every value and print out the output on the console. Okay, again, so here see one thing I want to tell, that here there is updation and deletion. UND are not properly grasped or consumed with this array approach very easily. It takes a lot of time and more memory and time consuming process. So we are using list collections approaches which can make the things way easier. Okay. Okay, now if I go for the another things like search, sort, copy and cloning. So in order to sort something, what we'll do, we'll use this command like arrays dot sort any particular specific array like AR2. Okay, so arrays dot sort, this method will work for sorting. And number 22, arrays dot sort AR2. Okay, so again if okay, yeah, again if I want to make something like convert array to list, some array to list, what we'll do, that arrays dot as list, this command is used to make uh, conversion from this particular AR1 to as a list type to list. Okay, again this command is used to like binary search to search any specific value in this particular array. What is the position of that, like this is the key. So see, if I'll show you the binary search for search operations, wait, sorry, binary search, see, this is the array and this is the key what we want to search in this particular array. So this can be done using binary search operations. Again, so what we touched, sorting we touched, searching we touched, conversion to list we touched, conversion to list we touched, these three steps. Again, fourth one, what we can do is like see, if we want to, for binary search, we want to set a range from index to index and key. So this approach you can follow from first index to third index, and just generally returns the output in the backward direction, like minus. See, the index or such, if it contain the array within the index range, otherwise insertion. Yeah, so what happens that keys contained in the array within the search specified and otherwise -1. Yeah, so what happens, see, if I go for AR2, so first what I will do, I will display the AR2 first. I will display the what is the value and what is the output of this line number 31. What I will run this program. Okay, yeah, I will save this. Always save this with before launching. Okay, also I'll do buffering. Second, I will open my console. Since there is a scanner, so I need to put some input stream on this. So what I will do, I will use some values to put input, 5 values like 32, okay, again 31, 31, 33, 34 and 30. 5 values are there. Okay, so see, so values of array is, so these are the values of AR2 21. So let I will increase the size of this. What I wanted to relate here is that search the fake. Okay, 1 second, let me minimize the screen and let me append this here. Okay, okay, what I will do, resize this window size. No. Okay, no problem. See, the line number 31, search, I will do this later. Search the value in array between index. Okay, since the things are going on, I do not want to disturb this approach. So line number 31, the search the value in the array between the index. So it is showing -2. The reason is, see, this 21 is the first values of AR2 from AR2, and what I will specify the range is 1 to 3. 1 to 3. Okay, so what will happen? Okay, so what exactly will happen? So 21, 23, 24, 20. So if I sort this all things, so the range 21, 23, 24, 25 and 27. Okay, this is in sorted order. Okay, yeah, fine. So the 1st position is 23 and the 3rd position is what? 1, 2 and third is 25. So the value, no value is lying between 23 to 25. So 23, 25 and 25 are the values. So if I want to take out 21, search whether 21 is within this range. So since it is not in this range, so it will give a negative result. So it's showing as index as -2. So what happened that it calculated this 27 as -1, okay, and this 21 as -2, because these ranges were covered here, 23, 24 and 25 within this key range from index to index, while minus indexing is from back side. So 27 is a -1 and 21 is a -2. So 21 I got here on line number 31. Therefore it is showing as index as -2. Okay, for the line number, if I go for the line number 40, see, see, one thing more, while we are using clone, since it can throw an exception, that is clone. So what we read for the exception part, which can occur for clone, there is can clone not support exception. They are like clone not support exception. So we are using here as try and catch block, try block and catch blocks to capture if any exception occurs. Okay, while we are using clone, and we have implemented clonable here in the interface. Now what I will do, line number 40 is like ar1 dot equals ar3. So ar1 is to this array equals ar3 is here. Okay, so ar3 we have created length of ar1 and we are telling that ar1 equals ar3, but that will we are comparing, and this gives a value as true or false. But since ar3 is empty, no, but since although we have cloned it, but then also the reference of this ar3 doesn't matches with the referring point of ar1. Means, for example, if I debug you this, I will show what is happening for you. See, so first I will show you the output of this. Since the provide the value is as false. Why it is equals false? Why these two are not true? So if I will try to debug it and show you, because the indexing, the location between for those are different. Equals, though we have cloned it, though we have copied it, but the reference positioning are different. So I will show you the default. I will debug it here to counter here. Okay, so let's, I will put the values like 31, 30, 29, 34 and 33. So see, so if I go and see the overview values, so the variables part of this, what exactly is happening, I want to show is that, see, so AR1, the ID generated for AR1 is 22, okay, but line number 34, the ID becomes as 30. Although we have cloned AR1, similar are the values of AR1, 31, 30, 20, 34 and 33, and AR3 also. If I hover it here, same value, 31, 30, 29, 34, 33. But since I have cloned it, it has created a separate copy of that, separate heap memory size of that. Okay, so it is the reason why it is okay. If I put a scenario like AR4 equal to AR1 dot clone. Okay, so, and 1 second, what I will do first, I will terminate it. Let me make the changes here. I will remove this, and in this case scenario also, I suppose that it will be this scenario. I guess there would be something called, since I have not used new integer, it can be not pointing to so many different location of heap memory. Let's see what is happening. What I will do, I'll just copy the same line and make it as here 1 equals here. Okay, let's have a check in it. Here there are such. Yeah, so it is not has been initialized. So for initial we will put it as null. Okay, but I guess for this part also there will be some constraints. Okay, first run this program. And let me run and check what is the portion it is taking out as. T1, 30, 10, 15, 54. Okay. In this scenario also it is returning false, because since again this ID is referring to a different location, the heap memory ID is referring to a different location, so it is the case. If you want, we can debug and show this again. Okay, so if I debug it, so 44, 45, 44, 43 and 42. So see, it is cloned here. Okay, and I will show you the variables, which are AR1 is 21, and AR4 is now having null value. And if I pass a step over, so the ID changed. ID it changes to 33. Okay, so this is the reason. This is the reason why AR3 is also having different ID. Heap memory is allocating different ID for as such. And again, if I hover it to, if I run directly to that location, then you will see that if it reaches here, and if it go and open the variables, so again this memory provide the values. To provide the value, it will provide it as step over will do. Yeah, so again it says as false. Okay, so here the contract between equals and hash code is not followed, because what is happening, since the here we can use some approach as deep cloning, and the contract between equals and hash code, because the ID is being assigned, integer value is being assigned, but since it is pointing differently, it is not working. All the values are same, all the values of both are same, but since the IDs are different. So what we come to know that, so I think so, because the what scenario occurs between equals and hash code is that the contract is generally based on a scenario, that if the values of this must be similar, means what I want to suggest is that see exactly what occurs. So what happens, the contract was that if two objects are equal according to equals object, okay, then the hash code for both the object must be the same integer value. So what was the contract, that if since AR3 is the clone of AR1, is a fully copy of this, and AR4 is a clone of AR1. So these two AR1, so since it is a clone, since it is a copy, the each and every value are matching accordingly for the both the scenarios. Both the objects are similar. Then the hash code values must be same. But since it is not accepting this scenario, yeah, but the reverse vice versa is not true. Although the hash codes can be same, uh, but if the hash code, if, yeah, the hash code is same, yes, those two objects are equal. Yes, yeah, ha values must be equal. Hash code can be different. So if this scenario is not connected, then the hash then the contract is nullified and is not consumed, and there can be some changes which can help to make things proper. Okay, so here the hash codes value, the integer values are different, the heap memory location is different. Okay, yeah, okay. So now if I go to line number 44, arrays.compare. So this what method it does, it compares two strings, like two arrays, AR2 and AR3. What it does, the first array is compared with the second. So if I go and step over here, so it returns -1 because AR2 is smaller than AR3. AR2 is having values like see this, AR2 is having values like 21, 23, 24, 25, 27. Okay, while AR3 is having values like 44, 45. So it's definitely it is uh, bigger, and the values are bigger in same as the sizes, values are bigger. What if we can check the same scenario based on one another condition, that if I make the length of the difference in the length of the values. For example, what I will do, I will remove this null and change it to, I'll first comment this line and change this null and 34 and 35. Okay, so and again I will not restart. Again what I will do, I will just copy this line, paste it here, here to and here 4, and if I want to check whether this, what is the output of this. So outputs are like 32, 33, 30, 42, 34 and 45. So yeah, what has happened, since the value of AR2 are only this, see, wait, there is some problem. Okay, AR2 values are this one, and AR4 is values as such. Wait, only two values such with AR4. So compared to interval next, so graphically, Yeah, so what is happening? The value is less than 0. So for the first array, it is written properly. First array is less than the second array. That is the reason. First array is our, therefore we are getting negative values. First array is AR2. AR2 is 23, 35, 25, 27, 21, 24. Okay. While although the size is less, the size is only 2 values. But if we compare each and every value with we add 24 is 34 and 35, 34 and 35. So it is getting in this way. But if I just change it to AR4 here and AR2 here, then what will be output? I save it, and it will be a positive output. Let's check. 32, 53, 23, 43 and 43. Okay. Yeah, see, we got an output of 1. Why? Because AR4 and AR1, AR2, although 34 and 35, so 34 is greater than 23, so it is just goes, doesn't matter about the size, it matters about the values, each and content. Equals method, we have seen in this approach, compare, we have seen the equals are working inside that. So we are matching each and every content on this base content. Okay, so equals will be over it here. So this in the equals method, content comparison. Okay, consistency equals. So now again, if I take out the output of this AR3, 6, copy of AR3, 6. Okay, so what is the output here? The copy value is this. So what will happen? This copy method, what it will do, it will copy one array element to a new array. Okay, and for extra space, since AR3 is having the length only AR1 length, and AR1 length is at a maximum is 5. AR1 length is 5, but since I've used 6 for the length, so the last value will be within it is 0. If I would have used 7, then the last two values would be 0. It will append 0 by default in it. So we can check it as say, yeah. So if I increase the size, it is, so copies of a specified array truncating or padding with zeros if necessary. So copy has a specified length. It has a copy of original array, truncate or padded with zeros to obtain the specified length. Create a copy of original array. We'll create a copy of that, and we'll put the values on that values. So it can throw two types of exceptions, like null pointer if original is null. Yeah. So what happens? They were trying to copy something or which original array like AR3 is null, so it can throw null pointer exception. Okay, and if new length is negative, and if I put a new length as less than the size of the length of a already, for example, AR3 6 it is, and we are AR3 6. So AR3 is the having length of AR1, that is of 5 length. But if I put something as 4 here, then it will throw negative negative length exception as such, and null pointer because the value AR3 is null. So I will this. So these all the total major methods. So if I summarize this, the major important methods are as such as list. We are using generally with arrays. Again, binary search. So binary search, there is a simple approach for binary search. What it is doing, it is distributing the binary. In binary search, what it is doing, it is using following an approach of called as mid approach. What is in the total length, it is dividing by 2 first. Okay, again taking the mid value, okay, and again, and at the top, at the initial, it is the sorting it first, sorting in ascending order. Okay, first step is sorting and finding again the mid length is finding and taking the mid value and taking that mid value, and if we are putting a key, take a mid value, okay, and if we are putting a key into search value particular value, and if it is greater than mid, so it will search on the mid plus, so the algo should be like algo will be like yeah, so mid equal to mid plus 1, okay, and if it is the vice versa is and vice versa if the key is less than mid, so it will go with like mid equal to mid minus 1. This approach it is followed by Mr. Secretary. Firstly it is sorting it, again calculating the middle length, then taking the middle value, again checking the value middle value, then what we are searching in that particular array, that so if it is greater than the middle value, then it is going mid plus 1, otherwise mid minus 1. This is the following approach. Same again we are using her clone method to create a copy. Deep copy and shallow copy are the methods and the types of clones, okay. Again we are using equals method to check the content are similar, okay. This will return true or false, but although the content are similar, since the pointing, the heap memory locations are different, so it is throwing as false. Again what if you compare AR1 with AR2, AR1 with AR3, then what will happen that yeah, since I've cloned it, it will give it as AR2 with see AR1 with, and so this approach, if I do AR1 with AR2, AR1 sorry, yeah, AR1 we are cloning AR3 now, yeah fine, AR1 with AR3, so comparing AR1 with AR3 for which AR3 is cloned of AR1. So if I go and check for these answers, what I will get is, let's run this, 31, 32, 34, 32 and 30. It's also, yeah, see, so we got 0. Why? Because of each and every equals method works inside it. Each and every value of AR1 is same as AR3 because it is cloned, okay. Yeah, but here it is returning as false because the locations are different. Here the locations are different, means AR1 is pointing to different ID in a heap number, ID values are different, and compare is fine, copy is fine, okay. Yeah, so yeah, and to string method, if I want to run something, one more thing I want to just disclose is here. See, if some of the values, the location, like some hash code values are occurring, okay, ID some values are occurring here and here. If I want to get what are the values inside that particular array, so only .toString method will not work. We need to take out each and every specific value, and then so that you have to use loops for returning that output, okay, because it will read each and every specific value from that. Therefore, yeah, and so I'm almost done with today's video, and so thank you. Subscribe.